Habs University. I'm Jake, and this is my book report for the second semester. My book report is on improvisation studies for jazz bassoon by Paul Hanson. Um, I'm just going to go through the questions that Dr. S laid out for us. So, number one, how did this book affect you personally, or did it? The last time I tried jazz bassoon was in the summer of 2017 at a summer camp, Frenchwoods Festival. I gave a beginner jazz improv class a try without knowing the chords or like the scales you need to know or the language or the forms or anything like that. It was a bad idea. But with this new book, I feel a little more equipped to try things like that in the future. The book is a collection of scale and chordal studies that are commonly used in jazz improv. It goes through all the keys, all the ranges, gives you some scales that are used like blues scale and melodic minor. So yeah, it did change me. I feel more equipped to try jazz on my own time this summer. No, I won't be playing in many ensembles for jazz for this foreseeable future, but I still feel, at least intrigued to try and develop this on my own. What contribution does this book provide for the field at large? So bassoon isn't generally thought of as a jazz instrument. It has too many thumb keys for us, as we well know. Clarinet and saxophone and trumpet don't have nearly as many keys to deal with as we do. But in the bassoon world, it provides a solid foundation for people who have no formal jazz instruction to kind of dip their toes into the jazz world. And I know it did for me, because I went from, the very bottom level of knowledge you could have to, kind of moving up in the world. I feel a little more equipped. Who is the primary audience for this book? Intermediate to advanced level bassoonists. You need a lot of scale fluency in it because the exercises in it do up to high F into the stratosphere. Of course, you can go at your own pace and skip anything that's out of your range, but I wouldn't recommend it because, having a strong scale foundation is going to really help with these exercises. And if any intermediate to advanced level bassoonists who want to, like I said, dip their toes into the world of jazz improv, that's the audience for this book. Was this book compelling? How or why not? This book is very easy to read. I am somebody who doesn't like reading textbooks and things like that, words upon words upon words, but this book is very easy to deal with. It is 99% just scale studies, music upon music upon music. Doesn't bore you with anything. It just says, here's the chapter, here's the topic, here's where it's applicable. Go nuts with these exercises. I find that very good. Thank you, Paul Hanson, for that. Yeah, very compelling book. And you can really feel the progress when you practice through the book. So I definitely recommend sticking with this. Did any quote strike you as particularly memorable? Like I said, aren't a lot of words in this book. It's mostly exercises. But from the second prologue, what stuck with me was a quote I wrote down here. What makes bassoon ever so special is not how fast it can play notes. It is the tone it makes. Do not neglect the time-proven magic of long tones, dynamics, slow intervals, working with the tuner. It reminds me that getting caught up in the excitement of fast playing is not nearly as productive as the less glamorous exercises like long tones, as I mentioned. The quote really kept me grounded while I was practicing these. What are the author's credentials, i.e. who is the author? Paul Hanson has a bachelor in bassoon performance from California Conservatory. He gives master classes all around. He gave one at Ithaca. He gives at IDRS. He describes himself as a jazz fusion bassoonist and saxophone player. He's toured with many groups, including Bella Fleck, who I'm a fan of. So many groups, too many to name, in both classical and jazz settings. So he's very well equipped to write books about jazz bassoon. What did you learn from reading this book? Even though I haven't worked through the entire book of exercises, I'm kind of saving it as a summer project. I learned new methods of catching my mistakes that I previously had not. For example, even when practicing simple exercises from the book that I was pretty confident in, I found myself having lapses in concentration, kind of getting, too comfortable with it, too into the zone. And it made me mess up the exercises I was so confident in. So things like that really taught me about who I was as a bassoon player, in addition to the exercises it was working into my fingers. It also gives the chords for each exercise that you're doing. You know, it'll say like C major, C7 at the top, and I think that helped my chord fluency go from rock bottom nothing to, you know, kind of budding, kind of growing in a good position to work harder on. Um, would you recommend this to others who? Yes, I would recommend it to any bassoonist who is A, fluent in major and minor scales, B, feels they don't have enough fundamental exercises to do, and C, has an interest in jazz bassoon, and D, is an intermediate or advanced level. Like I said, scale fluency is really going to help with this. What is the tone of the writing? Easy read versus textbook versus something in between. This is a very easy read. It's mostly music. We're all musicians. Who doesn't like reading music? It doesn't bore you. It doesn't try and give you any not not anti-intellectual things, because it is very intelligently written through the music, not through the words. It doesn't. It lets the music speak for itself, I would say. It says, here's the exercise, here's where it's applicable, go nuts. Um, However, since it is an exercise book, it's not really something you can read or benefit from in your downtime. It has to be read while you're practicing. So it is different from other books in that way. What is the biggest thing you learned from this book? The thing I learned from this book that's going to stick with me for a long time is that I have a very short fuse when I'm practicing, especially being in a home setting, not in my normal practice room at Ithaca. If I messed up on an exercise that I felt I should have been able to do easily, I got very mad very fast. And I think this book helped me, you know, take it a little easier on myself. I don't have to be so, you know, hard on myself with things that I should know but apparently haven't. But yeah, that's my book report for Paul Hanson's Jazz Bassoon improv technique. I recommend this book to anybody with an interest in jazz bassoon. Hope you guys are staying safe out there.